Have you ever planted your vegetable seedlings in the spring, but then none of them actually really sprouted? Or, let me ask this, have you ever planted vegetable seedlings and maybe they sprouted, but they got super tall, super long, super leggy, and they fell back on each other and they just all died? All right, guys, I'm Andy from Garden with Andy, and today we're gonna be talking about the 2 mistakes you're making that are just making it impossible for you to start your own seeds indoors. A lot of people, when they get bad results starting seeds indoors, they either blame it on the seed packet, saying that the seeds just weren't viable, they didn't sprout, or they just admit that they just can't do it and throw in the towel and buy seedlings from the supermarket, which, by the way, are very expensive. But this doesn't have to be the case. There is a right way to do it. And so today I'm gonna show you exactly how it's done, the mistakes that you're making, and how you can save tons of money and really just easily start your own seedlings indoors. It's really not hard. So it's pretty cold out here. So I'm gonna hop back inside and we're gonna go to the seed starting setup and I'm gonna walk you through it. All right, guys, here we are back inside. I've got a seed flat that I planted about 10 days ago, and I wanna show you, walk you through some of the mistakes I made and show you exactly what's going on here. So one of the first things you'll notice is that it didn't germinate super well. So you can see that for the most part, I have probably about I'd say 60 to 75% germination rate, which is good. But considering that I planted 2 to 3 seeds, maybe even 4 seeds in every single cell, and the germination rates are closer to 98 or 100% on the seed packets, you can tell that I obviously did something wrong. All right, guys, so you can see right here, this is Swiss chard, and you can see it germinated really well. I planted 1 seed in every single cell, and just for the record, 1 seed, it's like they have big seeds and they actually have a lot of seeds inside, so that's why I have a bunch of plants coming up. I have about 4 plants in that cell, 1 right here, another 4 right there, 2, and every single one in these rows sprouted. So I got really good germination rates there. But you can see over here I planted kale, and you can see it didn't do as well. You can see that I have a plant right there, I have 2 there. Most cells have plants, but then there's some that just really don't look that good. You can see these back cells, I have 1 that didn't really, kind of sprouting, but doesn't look like it'll make it. Didn't sprout there. That one, only 1 sprouted there, nothing here, nothing there, other than these. So the problem that I made is I planted my seeds too shallow. So with the Swiss chard, it was good because it was a big seed, and this is the hole right here. So big seed, and I planted it down deep enough that the roots were able to get down there and everything was good. But with the kale, I actually didn't put enough dirt on top. I just kind of set the seed on top of the soil and put maybe a tiny bit of dirt on top. But what happened is the seeds sprouted and the roots were right on the surface level of the soil, and they were trying to dig into the soil, and they ended up just getting like pushed out when I watered or misplaced, whatever. But like this, here's an example right here. This was just laying on the surface of my soil, and you can see this is a sprouted kale seedling, and you can see that root has completely dried out. That I put the seed on top, this plant sprouted, but the seed was so shallow, it was just on top, so there was nowhere for the root to go. So that's the first mistake you're making. You're planting your seeds way too shallow. What you need to do, you can't plant them too deep either, because planting too deep is also bad, but don't just set the seeds on the surface of your soil. So for smaller seeded varieties like kale or collards, cabbage, broccoli, things like that I'm starting around now, the seed is really small. So my temptation is to put it right on the surface of the soil so that it sprouts and it doesn't have to get much energy to poke above the soil. But the problem with that, like I just showed you, is that they sprout and then the roots, they're basically in the air and they need to find their way into the soil, and then when I water, it just displaces them. So what you need to do is plant them not too deep, but put like a little bit of soil on top, like put some soil on top, and that'll just eliminate that problem because the seeds will sprout, they'll poke through the soil, and the roots will be already kind of established down there below the surface level of the soil. You can see right here I have an entire row that's completely missing because you can see I planted and you can see the seeds poking through, but I just planted them way too shallow, and you can see like right here maybe, if I zoom in on that one, you can tell that it sprouted, and that's the root right there. What you're seeing is the root, which is supposed to be below the surface of the soil, but because the seed was just laying on top of the soil, the root's still trying to figure out how to get in the soil. All right, so problem number 1 is that you're planting too shallow. You need to not be afraid to put a little bit of dirt on top of your seeds. That'll help you out a ton. Let's go ahead and move on. Don't want to harp on that too much. Problem number 2 is that your seedlings go really tall and leggy. You can see that's not a problem here because I've done it correctly. But when I first started gardening, I remember, like, my first year gardening, I got this pack of tomato seeds. I planted it inside my house. The tomato seedlings came up. I was super excited, but then they just kept getting taller and taller and taller, but they didn't get any more leaves. It was like every day they were taller. By the end, they were literally like 6 or 8 inches tall, maybe 4 or 6 inches tall, and there was nothing on the stem. It was just a super thin stem, and it eventually flopped over and killed the plant. So what was I doing wrong? Well, the problem was that they weren't getting adequate light. So indoors, your seedlings aren't gonna get enough light unless you provide them extra light. Putting them on a windowsill might be better, but even a sunny windowsill is not gonna be completely sufficient. Partly because, think about it this way, the winter time or the early spring when you're starting your seedlings, the days are shorter than in the summer when your seeds are actually growing in the garden. So you don't even really have enough daylight to begin with, so you need to add supplemental light. And so my favorite way to do this is with grow lights. You can get them on Amazon, pretty much anywhere. And they're essentially just these lights right here. You can get them in all sorts of different shapes and sizes, but you turn them on and they're usually like a purple and blue, and that helps simulate the plant growth. But these, when you put these about an inch over the top of your seedlings, these will provide the light they need to make sure that they don't grow really tall and spindly, and it's going to make sure that you get a robust and happy plant that you can plant in the garden and have confidence that it's going to perform well. So that's mistake number 2 that you're making, is that you're not providing supplemental light. Your seedlings need light to survive. If they don't have light, they're going to just grow up and up and up to try to find that light and get closer to that light, the little bit of light they have. So when you get really tall, spindly seedlings, they're trying to find the light. But if you put the light right in front of them, put it right over top of them, they won't have to go anywhere. They'll just stay, and they'll be healthier as a result, and you can actually plant them in your garden. All right, so now you know the 2 mistakes that you're making with your vegetable seedlings and the 2 solutions. So if you did find this video helpful, I would appreciate if you liked the video and consider subscribing. There will be more garden videos pretty much every single week. So don't forget to subscribe and stick around for the journey. That said, it's January 29th here right now, and I am really excited. As you saw, there's still a ton of snow on the ground, but I am ramping up my seedlings. I just planted this flat about 10 days ago. I've got another flat of onion seeds, about 144 that I just planted about 3 or 4 days ago. Haven't sprouted yet, but I'm really excited for those. I planted those deep enough, so I shouldn't have any problems with those like these ones. I have a lot of really awesome videos planned coming down the pipeline, so I'm super excited for this growing season and see what the summer has in store. So with that, I'll let you guys go and hopefully see you in the next one.